Okay, it's preparing to stream. Got it. You can smile. Let's see. Okay, it tells me that it's live, but it's not moving yet. Okay. Okay, we are there.
Are we?
Yes, we are. So, and we have one person on, so they can help us and let us know if they hear us okay. So whoever is already there, please say hi in the comments. You can also say where you're from because it's cool. I'm from Berlin. Isa is calling from, where are you in Switzerland?
I'm central Switzerland, near Lucerne, if that's a place you know. Close to Zurich, 1 hour from Zurich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait for another minute or so. We can just chat until we see if there is anyone there. And if anyone is already hearing us, so please introduce yourself. And if you already have any questions or comments or something that you want to share, just from even seeing the promos to this event, you can already say so. And in the meanwhile, I've realized that usually when I do these talks, I don't necessarily introduce myself. So I'm learning all the time. So if you don't know me, I'm Orit Eshel. Shall I say I'm the CEO and founder of the problem solving agency? Because it's kind of funny to say that. I've never been a CEO of anything. Hey, it's Yara from Copenhagen. Hi, I thought I've just seen that you are marked as cannot attend. So it's really cool that you are here. Yes, so I'm Orit and I help people like us, like mothers who are self-employed or have a business, to get on with things, not to get stuck in over-analysis, ADHD, hypersensitivity, all of these things that are going on when there's a head full of thought going on. And instead of that, I think it's nicer to get things done and to shine our light in the world. And that brings me to you, Isa. Oh yeah, Yara says that she's in Copenhagen and nice to meet you, Isa.
Hello.
So as I said, yeah. Isa, so speaking about shining your light.
Oh, that's
in
a
the
good
world.
one. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, Orit, first of all, for inviting me to this interview. Yeah, let me introduce myself just for a little bit. I'm a Swiss mountain girl, if you want. I was born in Heidiland. It's literally where the Johanna Spiri thing happened. This is my origin. I grew up in a massive, big family and went through schools, etc., lived a crazy life as an expat, moving around a lot, changes of cultures, languages, school, etc. And somehow, and I don't know exactly how, but somehow life formed me into a coach for parents. So I'm now mainly focusing on accompanying parents with challenges around kids and teenagers and crisis, etc. So this is where I try to shine my light.
That's great. Actually, and it's also really nice because I think a lot of the people in my world, like me and people I work with and friends of mine, are also like you, people who have moved around, not necessarily living in their country of origin, or you're back in your country of origin after many years. And also not necessarily even, your children have one language, you have all the other languages. You live in a different place, your family is not necessarily there to support you. You have a business, so it means that you're also, which is also sometimes, or, either as a freelancer or as an entrepreneur, however we want to see that, it's also a lot of alone. So I think really the home, the house, the family is really where like everything happens. Maybe it's even sometimes then more stressing. I kind of just realized it now, like when we go to work somewhere else, suddenly we have other colleagues. There are more people.
Mhm.
When it's always here. And then I think in the last couple of years also, suddenly there are more colleagues at home, like suddenly husband that before went to the office is also here. Kids.
Ooh, that alone is a whole hour
Yeah, exactly.
worth of discussing, right?
Right.
Having a home office husband at home. Just joking.
Like I had my home as my office and suddenly he's there. And
Yeah.
it took me like a long time until I even just bought an extra desk. So I have, yeah. So all of your experiences, I think just about that, I could talk to you forever because I can relate to so many things probably, or just ask you about that. But also maybe I'll pick from something you said, because you said you help parents who deal with kids, and I don't remember what you said exactly, or problems or challenges. Are there parents without challenges? Or kids without challenged parents?
To be honest, I think there are differences in terms of intensity and challenges, simply because human beings are so different, because children are so different, parents are different. And depending on the combo you get, you can face cooler or hotter environments, I would say. Yeah. So, and I'm clearly, I mean, even having, you have 2 children, right? So probably you know and you experience that those 2 little human beings have completely different personalities, and maybe one can drive you nuts while the other one is easygoing and it's much more harmonious, right? So yes, there are differences.
Yes.
And
yes, I can see
sometimes
just
things can really
like
bore.
really, oh sorry, just like sometimes even little, like I've noticed how random it is, like how things are so random sometimes, just because one kid is a kid that tends to wake up like at 5 in the morning. So the whole habits and relationship that develops also has to do something with that, while the other one, let's say, wakes up at 7:30, 8. So there are a lot of things that are just not there.
And that brings me to a very important point, that human beings are so individual. They're so unique. Every child is so unique. And it's like a thing that creates itself from one moment to the next. What we experience as a parent comes from the kid, comes from the inside of a child. It's not us, it's not made by, it creates its own personality, its own behavior, its own experience. You know what I mean? It's like so personally, I had a different approach to, or an understanding of what human beings are, what children are.
Just wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing that there are some noises from my colleague in the kitchen. And I'd like more a feeling of privacy.
Sure.
Challenges of home office, right? In the meanwhile, Alice is also here with us, and she says hi to both of us, and that it's lovely to be here. Mm-hmm. And she said that it was really beautiful what you've just said. Mm-hmm. I just noticed that while you were speaking, I had all these thoughts coming up. Also, apart from the noises there.
So what I try to describe is that in my view, before I had children, actually, I saw human beings more like a modeling clay material, right? That I could influence and model, and, you know, depending on how artsy and smart I would be as a mom, my child would turn into what I like. This harmonious, perfectly independent, smiling child.
Oh, I want one of those.
But then life just was not so interested in my model of what human beings are. And life gave me two very creative, special, unique girls that I love to the moon and back, that turned into my best teachers, because literally nothing of what I had expected happened. I was really caught by surprise on that journey of becoming a mom and a parent. And it was humbling and amazing at the same time.
So tell us a little more about that. Like, yeah, because so what you've already hinted at is that you actually know, like for you, it made a difference to go to a more, you know, to seeing something that made you go to a much more relaxed parenting, as we hinted in the posts leading to that. Mm-hmm. So do you want to tell us a little? Oh, Mary is also here. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary. So
to tell us a little more about the before and after, let's say, so people have an idea of what you're talking about.
So it was, I lived in a script, let's say, you know, like a movie script, where I was responsible to for all the areas that my children would get in touch with: the friends, the schools, the nutrition, the sleep, I was like the master, or the one sitting in the cockpit and trying to perfectionize all the elements that surrounded my children. I brought a tool. I was walking around like this. I think I used it last time as well, right?
Yeah.
So in that script, I didn't understand how human beings are designed. That every human being is an absolutely perfect, functioning being with their own thoughts and feelings that turn into a behavior that we may like or not.
Okay, so
when I flipped the script, when I started to see that we are the exact same that we see in the nature, that we see around us, that our design is always perfect, that what we experience as parents and children, and usually it's behavior, that this is nature. This is, if you look outside, this is the weather. This is the coming and going of moods and thoughts and a reality that a child is experiencing at the moment. Yeah. So when I started to see that this is nature, everything that I experience with my children, the crying, the whining, the being naughty, the being mean, everything, this is behavior, this is nature. This is the weather. There's nothing wrong with it. And it gets tricky, I know.
Yeah, it gets tricky because also it's like a matrix where there are also a lot of people, like usually I tend to say, I always said, like, it's almost like difficult enough to be in a relationship with yourself. Because even if you see, as you say, you're perfect, it's all weather and all that, but we tend to get judgmental about this weather. Even if we understand that it's perfect, from time to time. And then, then let's say you're in a relationship with another person, then you already have to, with yourself and that other person. And then there's a child or two, and different parents that have different opinions and deal with things in a different ways. And also it seems to me like one of the most intensive relationships that there is, because things happen so fast. So even let's say you understood that everything is perfect, and let's say even before that you took some nonviolent communication classes or read books, and you see all these things that you can say instead of going into but then the moment can be really intensive. So even if you do remember the correct sentences, you say them in a way that's really not aligned with that, and it's so intensive.
Yeah. So in the world of the principles, there's often a misunderstanding, thinking that when the weather is really bad, let's say in your home, in your house with the children, when you're in this storm, doesn't mean that you don't do anything, right? What I experienced and what I know from my heart is that once you start to fight the weather, why are you here? Why did you come back? It was like that last week already. I don't want this in the future. You can't say this, you can't do that. So once you go into this weather fighting mode, you will just create more of it, and you will finally suffer more, and you will not.
I see. At the end, it's
I almost wanted to say you will damage the relationship. You will clearly not add anything beneficial to the relationship as long as you remain on that weather fighting mode, right? Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, please. Let's just see.
Okay.
I'll just use this just to say that if there are any comments or questions, just ask them in the comments, please. Okay,
it's a little story of a mom. She is doing groceries with her young daughter, and the daughter is sitting in the cart, and the daughter is throwing a temper tantrum the moment they walk past the chocolate section. And the mom goes, "I know this is hard, Mathilde. I'm really sorry, but you can do this." So she continues to do her groceries. When they pass by the sweet section, the little girl is throwing another temper tantrum and really screaming her lungs out. And the mom goes, "This is really, really difficult. I so understand. But in half an hour, we will be home. You can have a drink, you can take a nap, you will be fine."
You can have a drink. Sorry.
So they continue walking. They come to the checkout. There is the gummy bears. And the little girl gives it all. And she says, "It's okay. You can do this. We just pay and it's all good." So she pays, she goes outside, walks towards her car, when a man comes to her, tips on her shoulder and says, "Excuse me, I needed to tell you how impressed I was, the way you talked to your daughter Mathilde and how patient you were." And she looks at him and she says, "Thank you so much, but Mathilde, that's me. My daughter's name is Nicole."
Okay, that's good.
It's a little story that to me includes everything. We have situations with children the storms can be really intense and loud and heavy. But what we do with it is this is where it gets adventurous, creative, interesting, and I would say hopeful. Because in the craziest storm, you can choose to either engage with it, fight with it. Like the mom could have yelled at her child. She could have walked around with a lot of guilt. She could have felt embarrassed. She could have done so many things, right? She chose to talk to herself, be kind with herself, take care of herself, knowing that there was nothing she could do. No wonder a 3-year-old is screaming their lungs out when they see gummy bears and cannot get to them. This is what I mean with, this is nature in action. This is just how a child of that age will interact with the world. But what we do with it as parents, as mothers, as fathers, as teachers, educators, can be on the one side of the pole, let's say the North Pole, where we suffer, where we beat ourselves up, where we go into being a victim, where we scream and fight, or we can go to the South Pole, where we know it's nothing dangerous happening. It's a little human in action, throwing a temper tantrum, not wanting to brush their teeth, not wanting to do their homework, whatever, yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. And underneath, we have a massive universe of possibilities and options, what we want to see and do with it.
Okay, I'll just tell you that, I'll tell you just that Mary wrote that it's a beautiful story, like about Mathilde. It was really nice. And you also did a very smart, tricky job here, in the sense that I already wanted to say, yes, but no, just bring all kinds of things. I will do that soon. But I really loved it, how you just took it all kind of like underneath the noise. Because there's something so comforting also just listening to you when you say, oh, this is actually, it's an adventure, it's a creation, it's creative, it can almost be, and then you suddenly start thinking, oh, maybe it could be actually fun. Like for one moment I was like, when's the next tantrum coming? So I can check what my adventurous creative reaction is. So I think that was like very nice, tricky thing. You took me somewhere else.
I think my job is, what I really try to do is to, if I could describe myself as a medicine, I would say I want to be the Baldrian for parents. Is that?
I think it's called valerian, in at least in Hebrew, but I think in English too.
It's like the plant, the herb-based drops you take before you want to sleep. Like if you want to calm down. This is what I want to do for parents that are in the storm, that are hit hard by storms, for totally understandable reasons. Trust me, I have had some shitty, crazy storms, and that's why I'm sitting here.
Yeah, Mary is adding, the child having the tantrum is doing the best they know with what they have in that moment. I think from the parent, and this is why also you're, I would say, a parent's coach and not a children's coach, right? like, or an advisor, because many times when parents are struggling with child's behavior, they take the child to a specialist, right, to check what's going on with the kid, what can we do, how can we, CBT him or whatever, right? So he has the right behavior. But you're a parent's coach, not a child's coach, because we know here what happens. Like, it's about, as you said, it's about our reaction. And what I see also, and I don't know also, if to go big and like modern society where, and as I said, also, especially when I don't know if especially, but you don't live, you are not a part of a village in that sense. Like it takes a village, but you're not a part of a village. Like even, I think it used to be that you could count more maybe on neighbors, you take care of their kids, sometimes, and the kids go there. And for some people it is like that. For me, it took me years here to have a relationship that was a bit more like that. So it's almost like the nuclear family. Everything is there. Like you are all the roles for a child. Like, and some of them you don't like doing them. You're not good at them, but you're the cook, you're the support, you're that, right? You're everything. And we also have the idea that we have to be perfect at everything. And I think in many ways also, and I don't know if it's modern society, I think also we are grown-ups that in a way are still children. I think people are always children, but maybe a little spoiled in a way. Like we didn't really learn to get over ourselves or what we do in storms. I don't know, does it sound like too strange what I'm saying? But sometimes I think that I'm more like my, in some situations with the way I react, I'm like, am I the parent or I'm just like an older sibling? With the way I feel about it and how I react. Or, the storms, like, so I understand that they are perfect in their reaction, but I'm also in that storm, in that moment sometimes, especially, just a second, Mary says, I love that you help parents. Children learn from parents' behavior. Yeah. So I see in many things how my children, I'll be really honest, how probably they learned from me. Sometimes it's really difficult for me especially when there's a lot of stimulation going on. I don't know if I self-diagnose, as hypersensitive, whatever, but if there's a lot of noise, and sometimes it's enough that my son, he has very high pitch. So even if he's playing, sometimes, and he's just roaring or whatever, or he's whining, or I don't know, it can be so loud, it hurts my head so much sometimes. And if I ask him to stop or cool it down, or I try even to go to another room, but he's coming, and, or, in the morning when he has to get dressed and we're talking to him, and then the other one is doing all this noise. It's almost like sometimes my only way to stop it, it's like to scream myself, because it seems like it's the only thing that stops them. And it does.
Sorry, what to do what? I didn't understand.
Just like to shout and scream. It's just like, because I can't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I understood at a certain point also why it happens. This is my theory, right? That children are born with only two instincts, I think, like with the fear of noise and fear of falling down, something like this. And then at a certain point, I had this theory. Maybe that's why when there's danger, or we want to, grab someone's attention, you either scream, right? Because if it's like fire, they have to stop, or you shake someone, because they are going about, and then it's like shaking them, like bringing them back. And I have to say, sometimes at these like situations like this that get really stressful, I really feel my aggression, really very strong aggressions coming up. So maybe even screaming is like the best thing, because it's better than being aggressive in, physically. But I don't like this behavior also, and I don't want them to learn that from me. And especially, I have to say also, it's much more common that it happens also when I'm more hormonal, when I'm more tired, when things are really stressed. So And I guess this is something that I'm describing that a lot of parents can relate to.
Yeah, you have now touched a whole lot of different topics, but I want to just stay with the last one. I think we can sum it up to say that in the end, we hear ourselves and we deal with ourselves, right? As you just said, potentially on a Monday morning, you feel rested from a weekend, you're in good mood, your son doesn't want to put his shoes on, is making whatever, and you are like, but you are fine, you're patient, you have zero intention to scream or yell, you just wait, whatever, you're 10 minutes late, who cares? Yeah. The same situation on Thursday morning. You already wake up with a lot of tension, you're in a bad mood, your son doesn't want to put his shoes on, and you go, look, I have my little traffic light system here, right? So on Monday you were here, you were the happy, calm,
I think many parents on Monday, they are actually kind of like exhausted from the weekend.
Whatever, yeah, doesn't matter. It's just to explain.
Yeah, I know.
On day one, we are here, and on the day 3 days later, same situation. We are here, and our reaction is completely different. We may yell, we may be aggressive, we may do things and say things that we regret, right?
Like, I think we tend to go very fast.
Wait.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Orit has a speedy mind, so you need to make sure. So, and what I want to say is it's completely natural to be here sometimes and here sometimes and sometimes somewhere in between. This is we are also a piece of nature. We also have thoughts that create feelings and actions, right? The difference between us and the child is that we can have the awareness of where we are in a moment. And this awareness can help us to realize when we are here, usually what we say and what we do has the quality of sour milk or moldy bread, right? It's not helpful. Let's just simply say it's bullshit, right?
Yeah, and you know it the moment it comes out, but sometimes you just can't stop.
Yeah.
Or you're already up on the tree, and yeah.
And I think it's enough to be aware, to start to become aware. Okay, I'm here. I just did and said X, Y, Z. It's okay. I mean, sometimes it's not okay, but I understand why this happened to me. I know I'm not a perfect human being, and usually I feel much better when I'm in the green version of myself, when I'm the Monday morning situation person. So, be patient with yourself, and starting to observe where you are will help you to guide you more naturally towards this zone of action. You will become more aware of, here, it's actually, it's like adding gas into a fire. It happens sometimes, and that's part of the game, but it's not fun, it's not helpful, it's not good for me, not for my kid.
No.
We can say sorry, we can say, an hour later when we are back, we can say, I'm really sorry, I wasn't myself. I was in such a bad mood. You know what I mean? Like starting to accept all three moods and action zones, knowing that this is who we are. And this is when we act, when we interact with our noise and the drama and yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll just say, just already a few minutes ago, Alice said that she agrees that she experienced this, what you shared with her son. She said that a 3P coach helped her, and in turn, she was much more relaxed with her son, and that he changed how he was showing up. And that the best thing she ever did was reach for support. I think it's always good to reach for support. And actually, it's also good to see that the support we need is for ourselves. So, I'll just ask you something also. I can say that, sometimes I can see how, I'm trying to kind of, how do I do that? Something that really helped me over the last few years touches on this, I guess, as you refer to, always going back to self-compassion and being kind to ourselves. And maybe, the self-awareness and going back to what can be instead of dragging something. So it is helpful for me to see that even though I get caught up, as I said, in these feelings and emotions, and then I can't stop it, something that's really shifted was I don't have to stay stuck in that. Like, okay, noticing what's going on, and then it's like, okay, but I don't, maybe we had a stressful situation now, for example, at the supermarket, but I don't have to keep on going with that. We can breathe now, and then we can be relaxed again. Or it was really annoying morning, okay, but I'm also allowed to kind of just not do anything with it. Now we can go to school and have a nice time on the way. Because I think it used to be, and I guess a lot of parents, have that, because when we also talked about the last time that we met on the snowball, the trolls, you're going into this storm, as you said, that's very human, but not very constructive. And then afterwards you go into the guilt and shame, and then you simmer in that. And then that doesn't help so much either, maybe only to feel better, like I care, so, I feel bad. And then again, you're not even there for your kid, like you were cross with him a moment ago, you weren't really nice to them. And now it's like, don't bother me with me feeling guilty about how I treated you.
Brilliant, yeah. And in the end, everything is resistance, First, it's resistance towards a child that doesn't want to put shoes on. Then it's lashing out, and then it's resistance against your own feelings that should not have been there. So it's a whole mess, And as soon as you start accept as soon as you see that your moods are never coming from your kid, but from yourself. Always. Zero exception. A child cannot make us aggressive. We can only do this ourselves. And yes, we get aggressive. It's part of our design. And sometimes a lion has to roar really loud, so the pups are listening. I'm not saying stop being human as a parent.
No, that's nice.
No. Sometimes, the ice bucket challenge. Sometimes in order to get a child out of his reality, which is dramatic and whatever, sometimes a reaction that is a bit like an ice bucket. I'm not saying take an ice bucket, but a reaction that is completely unexpected will do the trick and bring the kid immediately in a new state of mind.
I think when we're really creative, it might be tickling, or I don't know, just doing something funny. But when we're not really in a nice mood, and we're not in a creative mood, it's our automatic, more negative reactions, right?
So when we go back to this, from us being clear, we can do we can be leaders with kids. We can do things and be creative and actually act in a way that is so unexpected and maybe fun and new, that the situation will immediately shift and turn into, like, the drama will is you stop the engine, you let the sails down. You are with the storm. As long as it takes for that storm to pass and to calm down. So maybe the unexpected reaction is to not react to the storm and just be with it. I can be.
That's a good one.
You know, I can be with what is, knowing that when I just hold on, when I don't go into, oh, my poor kid, I have to get you home. We have to do something immediately. This is not okay. What happened to you is dangerous. Maybe you need to see a doctor, you know? So once you stop doing this, it's just a matter of time that things like the storm will just, it will crash. And all in a sudden you see, oh, she's tired. She is exhausted. She needs sleep. And for her, whatever was the reason for the storm automatically disappears and is gone. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. Sometimes it goes faster. But the moment, and I mean, I don't give tips and tricks, but what I would say is, the more we get busy with a specific behavior that we don't like, the more we react to that, the less we will find the simple, cool, clear solution. And because those are always simple. Complicated is always here. Life is simple. In the end, it's get some sleep, get a drink, I give you a hug.
I'm just laughing because it's almost like, it's like really fun to hear that it can actually be really simple. Like if you only go more quiet or just not react so much, you will have better ideas. You will listen better, like what the problem is for the other person, for yourself, you know. And then it's almost like annoying. Like if it's that simple.
It is.
Why are we not doing it all the time?
You know, that's the thing that no one, like I would have the easiest job to convince people, telling them it's complicated these days because of social media and Instagram and the eating disorder and blah, blah, blah. I could have the easiest job, but I'm refusing because it's not how it works. It's not more difficult than 20 years ago or 50 years ago. Maybe there's more noise in parents' heads, more bullshit out there that gives us the idea that it's difficult and complicated and all the things we have to fight and protect the kids and the future and the society and the school system. And, you know, you can go on. And in the end, it's as simple as it was a million years ago. We breathe, we do something, and we can feel good about it or we can feel shitty about it. And there's not much more.
It's funny still. You know, I know this as a coach and as a client, like how the mind wants to say, but we have to be, we have to get into school on time. We have to live now. But although, of course, you know, once you're not in this situation, you're like, okay, maybe, does it really matter that we are on the right time? Like perspective, right? And yet.
Yeah, I will I just refuse to say it's more difficult than nowadays. Because we have something that we had even before we could reflect about education and parenting. You know, parents parented before, you know, it's about, our brain can reflect since about 70,000 years, not much more.
7,000?
70,000.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And
Right.
people lived, parents parented.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not saying
here.
it
We
was
are all
better
alive.
or anything, but I know that our ability to love and lead and inspire and create our life with children is completely independent from all the topics we bring up that tell us it's more difficult and it's complicated. It's simply not true. And it takes courage and also a willingness, I think, to refuse to go there and declare that because of this and that, our children will be less happy and have a harder time. It's just not true. And here I could give you thousands of examples. If you look at the most inspiring people in this world, they have experienced childhoods and dramas and prison and, you know, thinking of Viktor Frankl, what he did, what he shares in this world, what he shared, the message of love and hope comes from a person that survived Auschwitz. So we cannot go, and we should stop. Everybody should stop telling that it's a school system, it's the pesticides, we should stop going there because we won't come into our power as creators, as parents, as professionals, as everything. How would it be to decide to go for hope, Orit, personally? How would it be if you could choose hope as your lighthouse to parent, to share, to be?
It sounds hopeful. No, really. Yeah, I'm just reading a book, and he talks. Do you know Michael Singer? He wrote the Surrender Experiment and the Untethered Soul.
I don't know.
So I'm reading that, and I just got to a point where it talks about you can decide to be happy. You can be committed to being happy no matter what's going on. And it talks a lot about the letting go, which I think for me it looks like in this hopefulness, you know, as the first thing, it's not about also trying to prevent all the storms and all the things, like being hopeful and being happy or being healthy. It's not about figuring out ways to avoid all that or to be happy and good all the time so you don't get into these storms, but about what you said about how you react to them and how you maybe, he talks about the heart, like letting the heart relax all the time, you know, noticing that your heart starts closing. I think this is the awareness you talked about. It's just another manifestation of that, maybe. So like noticing that your heart closes and then deciding that despite all the resistance and everything you got used to, you're going to relax it and let it open, and being committed to letting things go.
I like that.
So that sounds hopeful to me when I say that, because we can let go again. Like some days it feels like there's letting go again and again and again and again. Mary says, yeah, it's a choice.
Maybe even a choice, you know, to accept crisis as a parent, as part of the game. Our children will have or make experiences that are not nice. And we cannot prevent that. We cannot keep bad experiences from them. And it gets so much easier once you understand that hard feelings and thoughts cannot kill a person. It's the resistance that creates the drama, the true drama. So when you talked about the heart, I was like, yeah, somehow it's a choice between, do I allow myself to feel, or would I rather go into having a concept about, I shouldn't feel that. That's not a good example. You know?
Yeah, it's almost like all this thinking and analysis is like an activity, a painful activity that's supposed, like it turned painful, that's supposed to divert you from dealing with the pain. Which is kind of funny when you think about it.
You know, usually also when it comes to aggression, I think aggression is already a little bit of the cover up for something else, which is feeling, you know, so especially with young children, when they just don't do what they are supposed to do. You can just feel helpless, hopeless, exhausted, you know. And I would say no one, no mom, no dad should be scared to show up with that in front of children and say, I can't anymore. I'm just done. I'm tired. I need a break. I know I cannot put those shoes on you because you can do this for yourself. I cannot do this for the rest of your life. I just know that I'm bloody exhausted right now. You know, show up with what truly is before it turns into the monster of, you know?
Yeah. Let's just see. Okay.
We somehow think we have to pretend to have things under control, and no, we get exhausted as parents, and it's a good idea to share what's happening with you in your environment.
Because this way they also learn to do the same thing. Also,
you give them permission. Once you give yourself permission for everything, you will have an impact, because it's, you know, with one half in a parent, let's say, situation, it's already 50%. That's a lot.
Let's just see. Alice says, yeah, go into feeling every time, not the concepts. Concepts are stories, labels, and will never end well. I love that, Isa. Thank you both for sharing so openly. And Mary said the chance to go, and thank you. So, is there something we have just a few more minutes left? So before you tell us what you're up to soon, and how can people reach you and do and work with you if they want? Do you want to tell us like last words or something, or wrap something up? Yeah.
So it's actually a little bit also in the hands of you, because you are just about to help me set up masterclasses for an English speaking community. So thank you for that, for guiding me a little bit, taking my hand. I will, since I really haven't offered anything so far for English speaking parents, and the plan is to start doing that soon.
But I want to let people know that you do have on your, I really like, you have this on your, is that on your Facebook profile or the other one? You do some of the cartoons you do, or the all kinds of slides. You do have them in English as well.
Yeah, I try
not only in German, which I find them really nice. So I suggest to people that they take a look and be inspired by that.
Yeah. I'm about to write a book. It's in German for now, but I think that one is going to be translated. It's called Parenting from a Lounge Chair. And I hope next spring this will be ready. I want to start producing some little videos with parenting. I would almost say tips, but it's not. But it's just sharing those new ideas of that new approach. And yeah, I'm working as a coach, individual, one-to-one, or also in a group. Class is running for another 2 weeks, like with a group of parents and teachers.
So will there be one in English also coming up soon?
Yeah, I think I will at the beginning of the next year. Yeah. And my last, like, if I would summarize, if I could say one thing, if you could take one thing on an island, it's this type of, if I could say one thing, it's probably to say yes to everything that you experience in your family life. A big, huge, fat yes to the drama, to the screaming, to the whatever behaviors.
This is such a refreshing approach.
I think with the yes, with the permission, you will relax immediately and find the so needed answers that you are looking for.
I like that. It sounds so much nicer, when with all the shit and everything going on, to just kind of be like, okay, yes. Like, just thinking about it, it makes me smile. And as you say, feel more hopeful instead of resisting and no, it has to be different. I have to.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us.
Orit, that was nice.
Yeah, so we'll just finish for now, and I will also put your details for the website and everything with the video, so everyone can get you, because I think they should. Okay, so I'll just turn off the live. I'll just see how to do that.
Thank you, Orit.
You're welcome. Just a second. How do I finish that? No. I guess I'll just finish up the Zoom call. Okay. Okay, so bye for now.